It's November 13th, and I'm noticing on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok a lot of people talking about these very benevolent FEMA buyouts of property. And oh my gracious, we're so lucky that FEMA's willing to pay people the pre-Helene value of their property in exchange for them leaving and giving up ownership and allowing that property to be condemned. So what I want you to know is this. Number one, the pre-Helene values, you should be asking where that's coming from, because if it's coming from a local realtor or a certified residential appraiser, it might be accurate. But if it's coming off the tax records, anybody worth their salts in real estate can tell you that tax values have nothing to do with market value. And when I'm looking at these tax records with people, which I've done for the last several days, these are years old in some instances. So there's no correlation between that tax value and market value. Now, number two, you have to ask yourself, why in the world would people take that buyout? Well, y'all, a lot of our neighbors are desperate right now. They've lost everything. And when I say everything, they've lost their house, their life savings, their vehicles, and a lot of them are losing hope. And so they may look at this FEMA buyout as the best possible option. And if that's what they choose, then more power to them. I want everybody to have the freedom to do what they want to do, but I want it to be done with full disclosure, and I want it to be done correctly, because that Fifth Amendment says just compensation. I don't think it's just if we're offering bad numbers. I also don't think it's just if we're taking people's hope away so that they'll sell out. And here's where I'm coming from on that. I've been meeting with people over the last several days, helping them apply for some grants and get some help. And what we're finding is that a lot of these folks were turned down for the $750 emergency money because they didn't have the right receipts. And a lot of them were turned down for the repair money because it's in the system, or it hasn't been processed, or it got rejected and then they have to appeal it. Some of them got personal property money, $3,600 here, $4,000 there. That's not enough to rebuild your life. The biggest amount I've seen granted from FEMA for a homeowner whose house washed away was $46,000, which sounds good if you never have had any money, but then you realize that's not going to replace that trailer house. It's not a down payment on anything, and it's hardly enough to start picking the pieces back up. So to that person, it might be better to them to take the FEMA buyout, but I just want there to be full disclosure, y'all. This has to be informed consent before anybody says yes. And so if you have friends or family that are considering the buyouts, tell them to get the full story before they say yes, because I also got to tell you here, I just don't see how FEMA has this jurisdiction. And I would like to say that our local and state officials need to buck up and protect the citizens of North Carolina and tell FEMA, you don't get to tell North Carolinians what they can and can't do. You can provide options, and we're delighted for you to provide options, but it better be informed.